This edition of the Fasig-Tipton Focus podcast brought to you by the Saratoga Sale. Looking forward to the Saratoga Sale on August 5th and 6th in Saratoga Springs, New York. A great catalog of 240 yearlings with 49 different sires represented in the catalog. 8 of the top 10 general sires on the leading sire list represented with yearlings on offer in the sale. We also have half-siblings to 14 Grade 1 winners, including the Preakness winner Ron Bauer, Breeders' Cup winner Bobby's Kitten, and a half-sibling to Complexity. And speaking of Complexity, on the second night, we are proud to offer a share in Complexity. As of the taping of this podcast, the leading first crop sire by winners and money earned. 2 electric nights at the Saratoga Sale this year, August 5th and 6th in Saratoga Springs, New York.
For over a century, success starts at Saratoga, America's #1 yearling sale by percentage of Grade 1 winners, with back-to-back Preakness winners.
Seize the Brave wins the Preakness!
And Grade 1 winners Sierra Leone, Kingsbarns, and Prince of Monaco. The 103rd Saratoga Sale, August 5th and 6th in Saratoga Springs, New York. Where will you be?
We are pleased to be joined on the Fasig-Tipton Focus podcast by Corbin Blumberg from Starlight Racing. He is the director of Bloodstock and racing manager. Corbin, taking time out of his Saratoga schedule to join us. Thanks for being on the podcast, Corbin.
Yeah, of course, Jesse. Really looking forward to it, and it's a really exciting time of year in Saratoga.
It's an exciting time of year, no doubt about it. We are recording this about a week ahead of the Saratoga Sale, which we'll get into more in a minute. But I would like to focus on your background first. How did you come to Starlight Racing? How did you get into racing?
Yeah, I don't come from a racing background. I saw a few videos, some old Breeders' Cup videos when I was 2 or 3 years old, and just got completely obsessed with the sport. It's all I thought about as a kid. And then was lucky enough to have a connection to Graham Motion and started working for Graham when I was 16. And then started as a hot walker and worked for him for a bunch of summers up in Fair Hill because I'm from Maryland, about an hour and a half south of Fair Hill. Then went to the University of Kentucky, did equine management there, which was a great experience. And then was lucky enough to be on the Godolphin Flying Start program. And from there, had my last externship with Starlight Racing, and was lucky enough to be hired after that, and have been with Starlight ever since 2020.
You talked about going through the Godolphin Flying Star program, and it sounds like you had a great foundation before you got to that point. What was the process like for you? You said you don't have a racing background, so kind of as basically you started out as an industry outsider to now you're working for one of the top outfits in the game. It was certainly a long road to get there. What was your entry point to get into racing?
I think to start was just emailing with Graham Motion for to start was sort of how I think the beginning, and then for Flying Start, I think a lot of what I did at Kentucky, and sort of that obsession and passion I had really helped, because sort of every opportunity I could take when I was in Lexington, because I didn't know a lot of people. I just sort of jumped out. I interned for the Breeders' Cup. I did a program called the British Horse Racing Graduate Development Program. So anything I could come up with, I was doing. Spent a little time with the Maryland Jockey Club as well. So I think I tried a bit of everything before I got on the Flying Start, and then obviously Flying Start opened so many doors, and I learned so much over those 2 years.
You talked about joining Starlight in 2020, kind of a interesting time, I would say, to be joining the ranks of Starlight. How did you get to that? That was the last part of your externship, but did you know, hey, this is something I'm very interested in with the bloodstock and racing management side? There's a lot of things you did with the Godolphin Flying Start. What drew you more towards the racing side and the bloodstock side?
Well, I wanted, I think as a lot of people do, I wanted to train for a long time. And even when I started Flying Start, I still wanted to train. But I think when I got the externship with Jack and Lori Wolf, and I met them, and I met the team at Starlight, It was just an unbelievable fit, personality wise, and Jack is, uh, he's taught me so much, and he taught me so much in that month that I worked with them as an intern, and then I was lucky enough to stay on after, and it just the opportunity was amazing, and I really had the opportunity to grow in Starlight, and for me it was an easy decision to stay on, the job I do now is very different from the job I did the first sort of year or so, but it's been an incredible place to learn and grow and meet amazing people.
It is one of the main partnerships that kind of rose to prominence. I think 2002 was about the first year. Is that right? That Starlight
Yeah,
was
so
founded.
Starlight started with Jack and Lori, sort of on their own, and their first crop was incredible. Harlan's Holiday was in their first crop, and then over time, it's developed into a partnership and a business. Jack and Lori took on a few partners. The first year they had partners was with a Shadow, and then from there, it's sort of organically grown into the partnership it is now, which I think is incredible that what they've grown since 2002. And really, now we have about, depending on the year, 14 to 16 partners.
Is it the same partners always in Starlight, or do people kind of come and go with different horses, different crops heading into the sale season?
We have about I would say about 85 to 90% of our partners are year in, year out. Long time Starlight partners that love being a part of what we do. We love having those people that we've known forever. And then we're always open to having new partners. I think sometimes people think we're not open for new people, but we love having new partners. It's really exciting to have new people, whether they've been in the game forever or it's their first time in, and we can sort of teach them the ropes. Either way is great. But we have a lot of great partners that own horses on their own as well, really knowledgeable about the game. So we've got a great mix, and I think we've got a great sort of partnership base.
Looking back at the beginning of Starlight, you mentioned Harlan's Holiday. I mean, what a way to get it kicked off! Literally a breed shaping sire. But then they've had other successes as well. You mentioned a Shadow, but you've had the likes. You've been involved with Justify. Now new sires like Authentic, Charlatan, Audible. I think was in there as well. I mean, there is the Hall of Fame for Starlight is pretty extensive. What has the process been like to see Starlight go from taking the likes of Harlan's Holiday to now you're going to races globally now with even horses like Neolithic who have been in there as well?
Yeah, it's crazy. I told Jack when I started, when I was sort of real young and getting into the game, Starlight, it felt like they had a big horse every time I was turning on the races on Saturday. I thought Starlight had 200 horses, but back then they only had five or six. But every time I turned on the TV, it was Harlan's Holiday, then it was a Shadow, then it was Octave, Take the Points, Manba, on to Shanghai Bobby, all of those well before I got on the team. What they had over those years was incredible. And now with our model now with the team at SF and Tom Ryan, what they've built, we've really continued that success. Some of those stallions that they've built and created over the time since I started in 2020, and that was Charlatan, Authentic, and Eight Rings was in that first crop, and I wasn't there when they bought them as yearlings, but just to witness what they put together and be a very small part of that was unbelievable.
I think it's interesting that a partnership with as much notoriety as Starlight has had over the last 2 decades has now sort of formed another partnership, and that they take their partners and then they've grouped up, as you said, with a team at SF. How has that changed? So what does a sale look like? What did it look like previously before you started this new partnership? When you start heading into a sales season, when do you start identifying candidates or know what you're trying to buy when you go to a sale?
Yeah, I think it's part of what makes my job so interesting and day to day. I love so much, and what I really get to Jack changed our model right before I came on and started buying with SF, and Madacat, et cetera. And it really makes the process really fun, really interesting. They're buying it at a very high level. So starting really at the Saratoga sale, you'll see, the Donato Lani, Bob Baffert, Tom, they really take the helm on the purchasing of those horses. And then what I do is we'll try and buy a few that will stay on the East Coast. And that's really where my role is. If they work with Tom to make sure that we're all on the same page. But witnessing what they've built, what Jack's built with Tom, is really amazing. They've every year just turned out good horse after good horse. Right now, National Treasure, Prince of Monaco, Getaway Car, TDN Rising Star the other day. So we're just trying to really buy horses that sort of fit on the East Coast for our people, and then let them do their process, because it's been really successful.
You talked about how Jack transitioned from being kind of just Starlight and building horses from within that to then branching out a little bit right before you came on. Any insight into that? What was the reason for it from taking it just to Starlight to then taking Starlight to partner with somebody else?
Yeah, I've talked to Jack a lot about that. Basically, if we were only buying 10 to 12 horses a year, even with, the greatest agents in the world, you're going to have a year or two that's difficult. So the idea was we were able to get so much more quantity and quality by teaming up with SF. And for our partners, it's even though we don't have 100% of the horse, they still feel incredible ownership over the horse. Our silks are on the horse every other time, and they feel like they feel to them that they own still 100% of the horse. So, and it gets us to the biggest days with the best people, and it's been a really amazing shift. And then we've had some plenty of success on the East Coast as well, and that's just a really good sort of mix of both. And I think I think we've really gotten to a really good groove with the combination.
It's all about providing that experience, right? You're providing experiences on both coasts, as you mentioned, for your partners. If they want to get out and enjoy the Pacific Ocean for a little while, they can go out there and do that. But also international successes as well. But you've had a range of success with your auction purchases. I would just looking recently at some of the horses here that have come out of Saratoga. If we can focus on those for a minute, Prince of Monaco, $950,000 graduate from Saratoga. Were you part of that process with him?
It was Donato Lani, Jack, Tom Ryan, and Bob Baffert, but he was a beautiful yearling. We would have loved to have bought him if we could have afforded him, but glad that the SF team was able to buy him, and we were able to buy him because he was a stunning yearling. Just really stood out, I thought. Being by Speightstown, looked really fast, and was thrilled that we were able to be a part of the ownership group on him. And he's pretty much been a rock star every single day.
He ran an awesome race in the Del Mar Fraternity, winning that race, and then he came back and ran a very valiant race in the Belmont at Saratoga race with the Woody Stevens there. What can we look forward to for the rest of the year for Prince of Monaco?
Yeah, he's pointing to the Alan Jerkins at Saratoga. He ran great off a long layoff, wicked pace that day, and he's normally pretty close, and he ended up really far back, and came flying, ran a good number. I saw Bookham Dano ran the other day. We're going to go straight there. The horse that ran yesterday, world record, was really impressive. It looks like it's going to be a great race, but I think second off a layoff at a distance that he loves, I think he's going to be really competitive.
Another Saratoga graduate that had some success that weekend was National Treasure, also a Saratoga graduate for $500,000. He's been kind of a fun horse to follow along. Did you have any early indications from him that he was going to accomplish all that he has to this point in his career?
I thought his debut was really taking. He took a lot of pressure in his debut at Del Mar and kept going and really ran well. And even though he didn't win a few of those, like he ran well in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. I thought there was really something there. But he's just gotten ridiculously good. The older he's gotten, I thought the Preakness he showed he was really game. The Pegasus he just went fast the whole time. And I thought he ran really well in Saudi. It was a really hot pace, and he really hung in there. And then I think it all sort of came together in the Met Mile, where he broke well and just really hammered a really good field. And looking forward to seeing him next week in the Whitney, coming back to Saratoga and hopefully, replicating what he did in the Met Mile.
Nothing like getting a win right before Saratoga Sale, right? That would be the optimum time for it.
Yeah, that would work. I think that would be ideal. I think that's everybody's dream. So yeah, no, it's the best. It's my favorite weekend of pretty much, right up there, best favorite weekend of the year. Just great racing, great horses to look at. It's so much fun.
I think those two horses are a great cross section of what you get into with Starlight. You've got a Grade One winning sprinter with Prince of Monaco, who was a nearly $1 million yearling. But then you've got, and I'm not saying that $500,000 isn't expensive. He was an expensive horse as well with National Treasure, but kind of two different horses that provide different platforms. Is the process just to go find athletes? Do you guys have pedigree requirements that you look for? What is the buying process when you get into in team with Spendthrift or with SF, I should say, but also with just buying horses individually that you're looking for East Coast horses?
Yeah, I think we're always looking for horses that can be on the commercial level eventually. But for the horses that that I and whoever we're buying with try and focus on, it's a lot of it's definitely the athlete is always the most important, and then you try and find horses that may be a little bit different that everyone else is buying. That the SF team definitely focuses on the right stallions and trying to create that stallion in the future. What we do is a little bit different. The East Coast horses, we will sort of maybe take a chance on a stallion if we really like the horse. But it's just generally the same principle.
So speaking of one of those horses that you kind of took a chance on, perhaps we'll get the rest of the story here. But on the less expensive end of the spectrum with Saratoga, you had Fulmineo, who's had some great success. You've had a lot of fun, I know, with some partners and a friend of yours as well that's involved with it. What was the process like of buying Fulmineo out of the Saratoga sale?
Yeah, well, I haven't mentioned him yet, and I really should have. I got to learn from Frankie Brothers, who was Starlight's agent for 3 years before he retired last year, and he was incredible to learn from. Just an amazing horse person, and an amazing agent as well. And we were working the Saratoga sale together. When we bought Fulmineo, and he was a Maryland bred, so obviously caught the eye, and I really liked the horse. Frankie liked the horse. Jack liked him as well. And we bought him for 90 grand. And then my really good friend Ben Gowans, who was buying for Mark Greer, came running over, and they took half of the horse. And it's great for us. We sent the horse to Arnaud Delacour, who we'd not had horses with prior, and who trains for Mark Greer. And the horse has just been so much fun. He was second in the Pilgrim as a 2-year-old. Took us out to the Breeders' Cup. Found that a little bit too quick, but still tried hard. And this year he's been just run well in every race. He was second allowance race in Maryland, and then won the James Murphy on Preakness Day, which was so much fun. Having a stakes winner on Preakness Day was pretty cool. And then he won an overnight stake called the Boston at Colonial 2 weeks ago. So he's won 2 stakes in a row. He really fires every time, and for 90 grand, I think he's been pretty cool.
You guys are participating in races at a Grade One level, but also providing these fun stakes experiences. And how fun is it to do it with a guy like Ben, who's your friend, and do it with somebody in the younger generation as well, to find the horse and to partner with it? What does that mean to you?
Oh, it's made it way more fun. Just he's my roommate in Saratoga, so we sit around and talk about where he's going to go next, and I'm sure we bother Arnaud, and it's been great, and Mark Rear's been an incredible partner. And when it works like that, that's what it's all about, I think. Having great experiences. Fulmineo ran in the Murphy, and then Imagination was in the Preakness. So it's days like that where it all works, and you're with great people and having a ton of fun. So when horses can take you places like that, it's pretty cool.
So looking forward, what can we expect more from Starlight? I mean, obviously Jack has taken this from the likes of Harlan's Holiday, as you said, when we first started out, or when you first started out with Starlight, kind of on the smaller end of the spectrum, now getting into bigger events. Any plans to take this international? What's on the horizon you feel for Starlight? Where do you and Jack want to take it?
Yeah, I think we're just I think we're getting rolling now, like into the sales season. So we have a ton of partners coming up to the Saratoga sale. We're always in a great spot, a table right outside the back ring. And so we'll be active in the Saratoga sale, looking for that. Either the next Prince of Monaco or Fulmineo or somewhere in between. And I think we're trying to buy that same level of horse, and if another international opportunity comes its way, we're always game for that. And I think most importantly, just trying to find horses that can compete at the highest level. We're really we try and provide the best experience possible while also operating as a business. So making sure we have the right horses going forward, and I think if we continue to do that, we'll provide our partners a really great experience.
Looking forward to the sale, you obviously with the number of horses that have come out of there in recent years, top level horses that you have purchased, is there something about the atmosphere up there that just works for Starlight, that works in tandem? You guys have bought horses from a lot of different sales, but it seems like you've had a great amount of success coming out of Saratoga in recent years. Is there something specific about it that you guys key in on at that sale?
Yeah, I think every horse, I was talking actually to Jack about this the other day, every horse that's at the Saratoga sale is there for a reason. No one wants to ship a horse all the way up here, and not sell it well. So it makes our job so much easier, I think, because you're looking at a hand-picked group of horses, and you're just starting off at such a great point. Um, it's such a great place to learn and to see horses that even if you don't buy them, why they're there. And I think just from that perspective, you're starting off at such a great point. And then the atmosphere for our partners combined with the races, it's just the perfect place to buy a horse, I think. I think it's so much fun. Last year we didn't waste a lot of time. We bought hip number 8. And that buzz and excitement is really tough to replicate, I think, anywhere in the world.
Well, Corbin, we appreciate the insight there for Starlight Racing, but we have a little bit of a tradition here on the Fasig-Tipton Focus podcast. It's called the Final Eighth. So these are 8 questions that are related to it, but it's just going to give us a little bit more insight as to Corbin Blumberg here. So the first question is, and you can take the Starlight hat off if you want to for right now. Okay. Favorite horse of all time?
Cigar.
Why?
That's the sort of where I started. That's where I started. The first videos I watched were of him, and I don't think I would be sitting here talking to you without if I hadn't seen him in the Classic.
And you're just old enough to remember Cigar, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I was born in '94, and he won the Classic in '94, so or '95, I think. But yeah, but I had a VCR that I watched pretty much every day.
Yeah, and the old YouTube videos, right? Those are great to go down and watch some of those old race replays. I'll do it even now and then, like just older Breeders' Cup to watch on YouTube. It's been a great. I think it's actually like helped young fans to go back and see that history. If they become a fan now, they can go back and watch those old races.
Yeah, we do that a lot.
If it wasn't for Starlight, if it wasn't for horse racing, what would you be doing?
That's a good question. Probably rolling burritos at Chipotle.
Is Chipotle, is that the go-to? Is that the go-to
Yeah,
spot for
yeah,
you?
that's pretty much it. I think probably something in sports. I grew my dad and my stepdad worked in sports, and I would probably try and figure something out there.
Like working in the commander's front office or something
That
like
would be
that.
ideal. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think they could use the help.
Besides the Triple Crown races, besides the Breeders' Cup races, what is one race that you would like to win?
I think either the Travers or the Alabama.
Just from a historical
Yeah,
perspective.
I think Jack Starlight. I think he's come close and would really like to win either one of those, and I would love to be able to provide Jack with one of those. That would be for me. That would be the ultimate.
Besides rolling burritos, what is your favorite hobby outside of horse racing?
I think NFL football is right up there. I love, NFL Sundays. Like playing golf as well. Not very good at it, but I really do enjoy it. But I would say probably I love just going to live sporting events, and we've attended one together, and it was quite fun. So that would probably be my other one.
Other than the Fasig-Tipton focus, what are you listening to right now? Either music or podcast. What do you like to listen to?
I love listening to Ryan Russillo. He's got a very good sports podcast that I really enjoy with a good few segments. Also listen, I just listened to an audiobook, but that would be pretty rare. Mostly podcasts. I listen to a lot of sports podcasts, try and stay up to date on what's going on in this. And I listen to a few niche DC sports podcasts as a pretty big DC fan.
Can you mention the book? What was the subject matter?
I My mother made me listen to the Great Santini.
Well, you have
So
to do it then. What was
yeah,
it? The Great Santini?
yeah.
Yeah.
She's been asking me to listen to it for a long time, so I did.
Well, that was good of you. That was very good of you to do it. What's been your most thrilling moment so far within the industry?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think that's a really good question. I think probably being with Jack when Authentic won the Classic was pretty cool. Just to see how much it meant to Jack and Lori, and the team at Starlight was pretty awesome. Yeah, that was very cool. Just to witness and see all the races they've won. Just being with the team and seeing how much it means to our partners. National Treasure winning the Preakness as well. Being from Maryland and just being there that day was pretty cool.
Let's say you're flipping through the channels on a weeknight. What is the one show or movie that you're always going to stop to watch if it's on?
Wedding Crashers or Hitch?
Interesting. Why the marriage theme?
That's a good question. I think Wedding Crashers was just like the generational comedy
Yeah.
of my youth, I think, and then my
Was that
family
post
just
Step
loved.
Brothers? Like that was a little after Step Brothers, the Wedding Crashers was, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's like actually a good movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Hitch.
Um, yeah, and then my family just loves watching Hitch. So like that's a family one. Will Smith
Those are two
dancing.
those are two good ones. I can't say that I would probably stop and watch those as well.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right, last question in the final eighth. You have a
Okay.
table for four for your favorite meal. You're going out to celebrate a win. You have a table for four. What is the meal that you're having, and who are the other three people that are sitting with you?
Okay. Chicken parm. I just love chicken parm.
From anywhere in
That's
particular, or is there a specific spot that has the best chicken parm?
not really. Not really. It's pretty much all I can make too. So but I that would be the go-to. I think the table would be Jack Wolf, obviously. Got to start there. He's a tremendous dinner guest. Um, and then in terms of sports or anybody, I think that's a good question. if it's racing related,
It doesn't have to be sports. It could just be like
racing related.
No, it could be
Anybody.
whoever. Yeah, you have a table for 4. They could, and it could be living or dead. Who's the 4 people you're sharing chicken parm with?
4 people I'm sharing chicken parm with. I think,
or the 3 people, I should say. You're the 4th.
Yeah, 3. I think I'd love to sit down probably with Joe Gibbs. I think that would be really cool. He coached a lot of Super Bowls.
That's a must.
Yeah, yeah. And I would love to know what made the Commanders good, because I've never seen a good season ever. So I think that would be interesting. I think probably.
This one always stumps everybody. This people, yeah. I do appreciate that people put so much thought into it.
Yes, I think. Well, there's just so many good people out there. Yeah, I think that Joe Gibbs, Jack Wolf. I think any of the presidents, Obama would probably be cool.
Any of the presidents.
Yeah, I just would love to talk to a president and see. And then throw in Shane Gillis, because he's really funny.
We've actually had requests of people. I think Hunsley Albina was on here, and he said, "Why does it have to be 4?" This is like, why can't we just make the reservation bigger? But that's the whole point. You got to make it selective on some level. Yeah,
I mean, if you had 12 or something, you would probably throw in, Ian Bennett.
Yeah. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
exactly.
Corbin, thank you so much for joining us on the Fasig-Tipton Focus podcast. We're excited about what's coming up with Starlight Racing and, of course, the Saratoga graduates, and we look forward to seeing you on the sales grounds at Saratoga as well.
No, thank you, and thanks to the entire Fasig-Tipton team for everything they do for Starlight and everybody. So we really appreciate it.
Corbin Blumberg from Starlight Racing, thank you very much.